Okay, so here's a little bit of an explanation about my 3D model that I've produced. At the beginning of the project, we looked at sort of little designs on Pinterest to sort of gather an idea of how we wanted to make our own. From there, we sort of made our own sketches, adding ideas to what we would want ours to look like. I decided that I wanted to make mine look simple and elegant, but without looking too complicated. Basically, at the moment, what you can see is the process of me making the body, wings, and the engines for the actual plane itself. For the body, I started with a rectangle and started kit bashing it, and basically made the shape that I was after, quite slimline, with a nice little point on the nose. For the wings, I started off with a square and sort of squashed it down, and angled it to how I wanted it, really. Just the way that I wanted the wings to look. With the engines, I used a cylinder and sort of scaled it inwards to make it look like a cylinder, like an engine would on an actual plane. So sort of from there, after making the body, we then progressed on to UVM wrapping. With the UVM wrapping, you have to do each part separately. It just makes it a lot easier and more. It just it helps to do it one bit at a time, so you can see if there's anything wrong with your model itself. So obviously from the UV unwrapping, you can see I've done each part of the plane separately. So each wing, each engine, the body, everything was done separately. From the UV unwrapping, we then moved across to texturing. This is where things started to get a little bit more complicated when we started using nodes. With the nodes, what we did for with our texturing, we brought in the textures that we wanted, sort of images that we found on Google. Obviously, they'd have to be seamless, so they would wrap around the plane and wouldn't look too funny. So what we did then, we basically brought in the textures that we want and plugged it into a diffuser. And then following from the diffuser, we attached them to a shader, which would help us get the right shade that we wanted for the actual texture. And then finally from the shader we would go to a material output, which would give us the last piece of being able to change the texture to how we wanted it to look on the plane. Following after the texturing, we had to put our planes on a timeline and sort of rotate it so you could see the whole plane. It just gave you a good view of the whole plane itself and seeing what it looked like with its texture, and also whether it would run in a game. And that's pretty much it. That's my explanation about my 3D fighter jet.